Hey, what's up, cats and kittens? And shout out to all my cerebral lights. It is me, the Cerebral Diva, and she is back with another episode of Reality, and that's TEA because I give it to you scalding hot. So grab your cups, grab your saucers, gather round, and let's all partake in this libation of Braxton Family Values Tea. And I think we're on season 6, episode 5, if I'm not mistaken. And this most recent episode, was entitled Don't Rock the Boat. So during this episode, not a whole lot happened, um, and that's really been indicative of this season so far. Now it's going to be really, really interesting, and here's why. So we saw Trina buying a boat, not really interesting. We saw Tony Braxton shooting the video, not really interesting. Apparently, Tawanda is dating. We don't get to see who she's dating. Not really interesting. Um, Even though she's not present on the show, really the only thing that's interesting is Tamar and Vince's divorce and what's happening in Tamar's life, right? But Tamar has pretty much absconded at this point from the cast. She is MIA, nowhere to be seen. So in this most recent episode, right, Traci, in order to get some camera time, at least in camera time that's worthy of viewership, decided that she was going to go visit Tamar on set. I guess Tamar is shooting a new movie. Haven't really done any research to see what that movie is going to be, but actually, I'm going to have you guys pause for 1 second and I'm going to go do a little research. Okay, and I'm back. So you guys are going to hear a few clicks here, and that's just because I may have to get to, well, I'm going to have to get to a different screen just so I can read you guys a synopsis of exactly what the movie is that Tamar is going to be appearing in. So the movie is called Gangland. Some of her co-stars are, let's see, here we have Wood Harris, Clifton Powell, Tamar Braxton, Keith Robinson, Marcus T. Polk, Portia Coleman, Jean-Claude Lemare, Jeff Corbett, looks like Eureka Pratt, Clavicia Smith, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, Willie Taylor, Linnell Claude, Mariah Robinson, Cynthia D. Hilaire, and Nick Thomas. Let's see here. And the synopsis of the movie is the city of Chicago is plagued by gang violence on both sides of the city. In this modern day retelling of a classic Romeo and Juliet story, in the midst of their chaos, two young lovers must navigate their dangerous circumstances to escape their affiliations and discover true love. So that's the premise of the story that Tamar is apparently working on, and the name of the movie is called Gangland once again. So anyhow, Tamar apparently is on set for this movie, Gangland, which she's shooting currently, or at the time that they were shooting the Braxton's Family Values, she was apparently shooting this movie also concurrently. So she's on the set of Gangland, and Traci decides that she wants to go visit Tamar. So Traci pulls up to the set, and Tamar is arriving at set. It looks like she was in an Aston Martin, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know cars very well, but it looked like a really nice car. So Tamar pulls up, and conveniently, as Traci is looking to the left, Tamar makes sure that she is looking to her right. So they're both looking in the same direction. So Traci is essentially looking at the back of Tamar's head as Tamar pulls on set. Traci is literally hanging half of her body outside of the window, flailing her arms, screaming. You know, Traci doesn't have the most subtle voice. So she's trying to get Tamar's attention, but Tamar is clearly not here for any of Traci's shenanigans and drove right onto set. Now, I love Tamar. I'm telling you, I am a diehard Tamar fan. And even though I know she is difficult and mercurial in terms of her personality and unpredictable, there's just something about her that I genuinely like. But I will have to say, like, I didn't like the way she treated her sister. Like, at some point, the diva antics have to stop. And when you see your sister on set, regardless as to what you're going through, and especially like you'll hear Tamar talk like in reference to her relationship with Vince, when he was sick, and we have to appreciate people while they're here, and we have to value our relationships more, and this, that, and the third. Well, it's the same thing with your sisters. Like, you never know if tomorrow's promised to anyone, and you would not want the last opportunity that you had to interact with your sister to be you turning your head in the opposite direction and pretending like you didn't see her. It's just not what you do to people. At the very least, you could have waved, you could have stopped, you could have told the cameras, hey, not right now, I just want to talk to my sister, pull Tracy aside and say, look, sis, I'm going through some stuff right now. I'm really not in the mood to be filmed. So it's not you. Just give me some space right now. Just treat her the way you would want someone to treat you. Because I'm telling you, if any one of those sisters had did that to Tamar, it would be World War III. World War III. And also, I say that to say this. Tamar would have never done that if that was Toni Braxton hanging out of that car. So she has a different level of reverence and respect based on the person that she's dealing with. And apparently she just has very little respect for Traci in particular. The two of them seem to have a very contentious relationship in general. I don't know if she would have even done it to Tawanda or Trina, but I'm pretty sure now that I think about it, she definitely would have done it to Tawanda, and she definitely would have done it to Trina. Maybe not Toni, and maybe not to their mom, Evelyn, but the rest of them, she would have definitely driven right past them. I just don't think it was a really cool thing to do because, at the end of the day, family is family. And if the sisters had done something that was completely unforgivable, I could understand why she would not want to have anything to do with them. But they haven't really done anything to Tamar that Tamar hasn't done to anyone else. We've watched Tamar in her precocious disposition where she's just putting people's business in the street, saying whatever she wants to say without consequences. And now that she has this platform and people are watching her and people are interested in what's going on in her life, for whatever reason, she wants her sisters to be a little bit more considerate than she's been to them. So I really didn't like the way that she treated Traci during that episode, and it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward. And I'm saying this is what I find really interesting, and I think I've said this in a couple of videos already. I don't think that Tamar is really even on the Braxton family values at this point. It looks like she's probably doing the bare minimum to honor whatever contractual obligations that she has to that show, but she's definitely preparing to move on. And I also think that that's why we see Tawanda and Trina really sort of going after Vince, because this cash cow that is the Braxton family values is on its last legs. The ratings aren't as high as they used to be, for one. Tamar, who is really the driving force behind the show, has completely checked out. She doesn't want to be there anymore because at this point it is her personality that is helping to feed the rest of them. And I'm not saying that she's necessarily looking to take food out of their mouths, but if you're at the point where you're okay with suing me, then I feel like I have no allegiance to you as far as making sure that your income is what it is currently, So I think that Tamar and Vince at this point, because I don't even know if they're getting divorced. We haven't heard a lot about that. If they're still partnering, if they're still partners in business and talking, and what sort of allegiance that they have to one another. And I'm sure they've certainly discussed this lawsuit, and maybe Tamar had heard wind of the lawsuit against her and Vince, and maybe that's why she drove past Traci, because she thought that Traci was a party to this lawsuit, even though I don't know if Traci was named in the lawsuit, because I don't believe that she had any claims, given that she didn't make mention of writing on the song, the title track for the Braxton Family Values, or the theme song for the Braxton Family Values. But maybe because she figures that, birds of a feather flock together, because they're all sisters, that Traci either A, had information and didn't share it with her so that she wouldn't be blindsided, and maybe that's why she drove past her. But in any case, I think that it was really worth having a conversation and not just driving past your sister. But I just really think that the Braxton Family Values, if this is not the last season, I think that we're close to seeing the final season. I think that Trina, Tawanda, Traci, I hope that they've invested the money that they've made out of this show very well, because when you look at the show currently, it's boring, it's flat. Toni just is not very interesting. Toni's pretty, she's nice to look at, but she really doesn't share a whole lot of her life on the show. You don't really see her sons on the show. We don't really see her at home a lot. We may see Toni out to dinner, and hanging out with the family on vacation on occasion, but we don't really get sort of this intrusive overview of what the day-to-day existence is for Toni Braxton. Toni, the living legend Braxton, as Tamar calls her. So I think that without Tamar, there really isn't a show. And so if she decides to leave, which apparently she has checked out of the show, if not physically, emotionally, and mentally, she's definitely not on set anymore, then the girls better definitely start putting all of their eggs in the right baskets. Having said that, you guys, that's it for this episode of Reality. Make sure you comment below because I'm always interested in hearing what you have to say. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. If you don't want to subscribe, who cares? In addition to that, remember to live better, love harder, and think smarter. It is me, the Cerebral Diva. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.